This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Supplies of gasoline tightened further in parts of the United States on Tuesday as the nation's biggest fuel pipeline was shut down for a fifth day after an attack by hackers, raising concerns about price spikes ahead of the Memorial Day holiday. Colonial Pipeline said it was working toward a substantial restart of operations by the end of this week after a cyber attack forced it to cease operations on Friday, choking off nearly half of the East Coast's fuel supply and underscoring the vulnerability of U.S. energy infrastructure to hackers. Colonial's website was down early on Tuesday, which the Alpharetta, Georgia-based company said was a temporary service disruption, unrelated to the ransomware.
India's top state oil refiners are reducing processing runs and crude imports as the surging COVID-19 pandemic has cut fuel consumption, leading to higher product stockpiles at the plants, company officials told Reuters on Tuesday. Indian Oil Corp., the country's biggest refiner, has reduced runs to an average of between 85% and 88% of processing capacity, a company official said. Adding runs could be cut further as its plants at Gujarat, Mathura and Panipat are facing problems storing bitumen and sulfur. IOC's refineries were operating at about 95% of their capacity in late April.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Renewable energy grew at its fastest pace in 2 decades last year, led by China, and will continue to grow in the next 2 years, a report by the International Energy Agency, IEA, showed on Tuesday. New renewable energy capacity in 2020 rose by 45% to 280 gigawatts, GW, last year, the largest year-on-year increase since 1999, even though there were supply chain disruptions and construction delays due to the impact of COVID-19. China accounted for 50% of renewable energy capacity growth last year and will account for 45% this year and 58% in 2022, the report said.
Saudi Arabia, the world's top crude oil exporter, will supply full volumes of crude to most Asian refiners in June, several people with knowledge of the matter said on Tuesday. The OPEC kingpin started easing supply cuts to buyers in May as OPEC, Russia and their allies, a group known as OPEC+, stuck to plans for a phased rollback of oil production restrictions from May to July. Indian state refiners requested regular supplies from Saudi state energy giant Saudi Aramco 2,222 SC for June, after reducing purchases this month. One of the sources said most Asian refiners received their allocations while Saudi Aramco has cut supplies to Europe. Next, we have the top news in metal market. Chinese steel rebar and hot-rolled coils futures closed at record highs on Tuesday, rising as much as 6.7% and 7.7% respectively, as production curb worries and peak season demand overshadowed a fee adjustment by exchanges. The state planner has urged local governments to complete self-inspection for their steel projects and full-year output cut plan by mid-May, before it conducts on-site checks in June and July. The announcement, seen as a curtain raiser for more crude steel production curbs, came as China's factory gate prices expanded at the fastest pace in more than 3 years last month.
Copper prices rebounded on Tuesday as investors renewed their buying spree, hoping that supply constraints and buoyant demand would push the market to new peaks. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange (LME) had gained 0.8% to $10,465 a ton by 1600 GMT after a volatile session the previous day, when it touched a record high before retreating to close in the red. LME copper notched a record peak of $10,747.50 on Monday, having gained nearly 40% so far this year.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Russian wheat export prices rose in the first 10 days of May, supported by higher prices in Chicago and Paris on corn supply concerns and despite low market activity during Russia's May 1-10 official holiday, analysts said on Tuesday. Russian wheat with 12.5% protein loading from Black Sea ports for supply in June was at $278 a ton free on board, FOB, at the end of last week, up $13 from late April, the IKAR agriculture consultancy said. Sovcon, another consultancy, said that wheat prices rose by $4 to $274 a ton, while barley was up $2 at $247 a ton.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.